the founder of what today is Frederick Living, the Frederick Home for the Aged, as it originally was called. N.B. Grubb lived in a very special era. Pastors in our Mennonite circles for generations had been growing up living on farms, supporting themselves as farmers, and then serving the churches as pastors. As some of these pastors no longer had farms and were supporting themselves in other professions, maybe as a school teacher, when it came time to retire from active ministry, they didn't have a farm to go back to as a means of support. And John Oberholzer was a case in point. John Oberholzer was a locksmith, and then he became a printer. He had no family at the time of his aging when he was in his late 80s. And N.B. Grubb realized that these elderly, aging pastors had no means of being cared for. So the motivation for forming a home for the aged was both for elderly people and what he referred to as indigent pastors, pastors who had no means of support, and John Oberholzer was one of those. And in 1895, the old school that he had attended, this Frederick Institute, which was near his home area there in Frederick Township, was available for sale. And he had the vision to, if we purchase this, we can provide a home for these pastors who have no other place to go and other elderly members of our churches. That was the motivation and the timing of the purchase of the Frederick Institute and to convert it into a retirement facility. But it was owned by the Eastern District Conference churches, and the board answered to the conference. The economy was kind of shaky. The budget was $1,800 a year for operating expenses. Things were tight, and so the contributions to keep Frederick going were very crucial, very important. And the way people contributed, they listed in the annual report that cash contributions from different churches, Deep Run gave $12, Souderton $15, Springfield $38.25. Mrs. Singmaster gave 4 pieces of soap, 2 boxes of boraxine, 1 box of starch, 1 box of talcum powder, 1 dozen oranges, 2 pounds of tapioca, and then others would give 4 pounds of granulated sugar, 1 box of grapes, another person 2 pounds of sugar and 2 pounds of coffee. N.B. Grubb, in his vision for Frederick, right from the beginning, he saw this as serving the wider community and not just the Mennonite churches. Those who came were going to hear Mennonite pastors do the speaking and Mennonite laymen do the Sunday school teaching, so that it had a very distinctive Mennonite flavor, but it was not limited denominationally. And I think that was a wise move. And he never could have anticipated what would be developing in the wider community and in our nation in the next generations. But he had that vision. And the fact that my dad had met him in the 1930s before N.B. Grubb passed away was kind of a link, but I regret that he didn't live long enough for me to say I saw him in person.